Hello friends, and welcome to the video. So in the last video we degreased the 1961 Gravely Model L here, and I dried it off really good. I jacked it up and I had it on the blocks jacked up overnight. We didn't see any leaks the next morning, but the tractor's been sitting inside here for about 3 days now. And it's leaking, and it's coming from towards the center here. It's kind of hard to jack it up in here. There's no room to really work. I left the snow plow on it because we put the plow on it so we could jack it up and everything. And oil leaks could be a real pain sometimes. So I'm going to back this one out, and I have to move a couple other tractors because I want to get a carburetor ready for the 1965 Gravely Model L we bought. It came with a carburetor. I guess the guy was in the middle of rebuilding it. I don't know what the story was. I do have a cast iron carburetor that I was going to use on my father's 1956 Gravely. I'm going to leave that tractor well enough alone. It's running really good and everything. So of the 7 Gravely's we have here, I intend to keep them all anyway. So I want to prepare the cast iron carburetor to fit it on the 65 Gravely. That tractor has a governor on it. I just have to, I have linkages and everything. We're just going to have to hook up the linkages and everything. I don't know if I had that carburetor apart, you know, the cast iron one that we're going to use. I'm just going to, I'm pretty sure, I think I did have that apart. And the gasket that separates the two pieces is in good shape. But I'm going to separate it again and make sure the float and everything is good on it. I still have to find some fittings for it to fit the gas tank and all. But as far as this one goes here, off camera, after I have to back this one out, move a couple other tractors back here to get to the 65 Model L that we're going to be working on. And maybe in the meantime I could pinpoint something with this where it's leaking from. I didn't see any oil down by the tires on either side. I cleaned this floor real good before I put this away. Make sure there was no oil stains on the floor here. But it's obviously leaking pretty good. This had a seized throttle cable. I unseized it with some WD-40, and everything was mangled over here. Now where the cable, there's like a stud that goes in to the metal bracket here. I don't know if it's supposed to have a clip on that, some kind of I don't know really, but I straightened everything out and I just put a wire tie on it to keep the cable from coming out of that bracket in there, and it seems to be working fine. Now I had the cast iron carburetor. For some odd reason I took it apart on one of the videos. I don't know why, but I had all the parts for it. So I put the seat back in there. I don't know if you, I can't see what I'm recording hardly here. I put the seat back in there, and I put the float back on there and stuck the pin in there. And I have the screws. I have to mount the two halves together on it. And I was able to gather all the linkages we need. So I'll keep you posted on that as we go along. Okay, I think I have you pretty good in range. Alright, so what I had to do with the carburetor is I had to change the high-speed jet adjuster assembly because I did the packing, and the other one was no good. Because when I tightened up the lock nut on it, you could still turn it. So I put a new gasket, and I had an older one, and I mounted that on. And what I did was I bolted the carburetor up. I ran the new fuel line. We're using a rubber fuel line, 1/4 inch. I put that on first hand, mounted the carburetor. I tightened up both bolts, mounting bolts, and The reason why I do that is it's because it's easier to put the accessories on that way. Like I'll take one bolt out at a time here. This way we don't disturb the other bolt. The carburetor stays tight, and then we can just put this bolt right back in again. Okay, so this one, get this thing situated right. This one rod that goes on here is a Z-bend. Okay, so I found it to be easier to just pass this through here. And then we can put that bolt back in. Otherwise, you'll be fumbling around trying to hook up the linkages and stuff, trying to get the carburetor lined up to bolt up. I found this to be the easiest way to do it. Then, I don't know if you can see it as far back here, there's a spring, and the spring goes on the rod we just put on there. And then the other end goes to the governor arm. Now there's several holes in the governor arm. I usually just put it in the hole where the rod will clear the shroud and everything. I don't know if that's the right way or not, but that's how I do it. Alright, so you hook up one end and then the other end comes off. Alright. I'll probably have to mess around with this a little bit more later. Okay, now you have the throttle cable, which we worked on. I showed you before what I did to that. That's easy, you could just hook that up. There's a bracket here, so you have to take the rear bolt out of the carburetor here. I went crazy with one trying to hook up the governor stuff while I was bolting the carburetor up. Boy, did I have a hard time with it. And then I thought to myself, well, I'll just bolt the carburetor up and hook all that other stuff up one at a time. Whether this carburetor is going to be any good, I don't know. Like I said, the float was out of it. I think I took it out, and the needle was out of it. I have some brand new parts that came with the tractor here, so I put a new needle and seat in there, and I put the float back on, and then I put a new pin in it that holds the float in. I'm sorry about the wind. It's a little windy here today. In a reasonable time here. And the throttle cable has a Z-bend in it too as well. Okay, that's good. Alright. So I got that bolt out. And then you just want to hook this bracket up back here. I'll probably have to make quite a few adjustments here to get everything lined up right. It's pretty easy to do, it's not that hard. Alright, so what I'll have to do is I'm going to hook in the fuel filter and the shut-off, fuel shut-off. I don't have any shut-offs to go into the tank. I just have one of those plastic ones where you turn it off and turn it on. And I'll do that off camera. Everything's bent up and twisted, like I was telling you with the throttle. I don't know how this happens. I really don't know. People tend to bend everything up pretty badly. See, I can adjust this if I have to. So I'm just going to tighten it for now and then worry about it later. Then the bolt for the choke cable. I couldn't get a bolt to fit in there, but I finally got one to fit in there. It was a little hard to put in, but I got that straightened out. What happened to that, I don't know. This carburetor came with the two 1957s Gravely's. You saw that I sold one in the last video, and I sold the other one last year. And it came with this cast iron carburetor. As I said before, instead of messing around, I'm going to leave my father's 56 Gravely out alone, since everything's good with that. So I'll just use this carburetor on here, and I intend to keep, you know, the 7 tractors I have left here, I intend to keep them all. I say that now, but you never know what's going to happen down the line. I haven't tried to find any other tractors yet, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to have to tighten up the governor adjuster here so it goes against the belt. That's how this works. And I'll be back to you as soon as I make a little more progress here. I forgot to mention the last rod here. This goes into the throttle, into the bell crank here. But what you want to do is take the rod and stick it through the hole in the bottom here. You have to loosen a 5/16 lock bolt. So you loosen that up, stick that in there, and then take this side here and put it into the bell crank. I don't have any of those clips, so I just snipped off a piece of 2-stroke fuel line and just stuck it over it there. It'll hold for now, it'll be fine. There's no really stress in and out on it, it's back and forth, so it'll be alright. And then don't forget to tighten up the lock nut here. Well, it's a lock bolt actually. And as it, you know, when you it's at idle right now, when you throttle it up, it'll put tension on this, but still adjustments may have to be made, and I still have to do something with the fuel line here. So it's getting late in the day. I don't know, I might continue now, or I'll just continue tomorrow if it's not raining. So it came along all right. I fixed up the choke here, the choke cable. I don't have the clip here, so I just tie strapped it real tight. I put 2 tie straps on. I have a couple of my other of my tractors that are like that, and it works, it's fine. It pretty much started right up. I had to richen the carburetor up, so there's a couple of things I wanted to show you after we take it. We'll take a little test drive with it. Let's see if I can get through here. I think I can squeeze through. kind of just want to make sure the governor works. It sounds like it's going to die. Gotta go back. Yeah, the governor sort of sounds like it's working. Yeah, it is. Might have to do a little more carburetor adjusting. I should have throttled it down, but I didn't. Let me shut this off. If we didn't get copyrighted by now. I don't think so. Alright, so when it's running, there's no gas leak. But under here, I feel like there's my hand here, yeah, there's like a screen under there or something, and it leaks when it's not running. This is a cast iron carburetor, so if anybody knows, let me know what's going on under there. I don't know. I don't think it's like, I don't know what it's like on the other tractors. I got the 61 out here still. I didn't bother checking anything with the oil leak. Yeah, I feel something there, under there too. It's like some kind of plug, I guess. That one feels smooth underneath. This one feels like rigidity under there. What do? Just JB weld that? Drain the carburetor, take the carburetor off, turn it upside down, JB weld that. Because there's nothing coming out of the choke inlet here, you know, when it's not running. Usually when they flood, it starts pouring out of the carburetor throat here into the hose. So, I'm not really sure what's up with that. Yeah, so if you're in a pinch, don't do a repair and let this go like this with the hose on the rod here to keep it from falling out. I just did that as an emergency. Another thing too, I know this is gravity fed, and I have a bad habit of not using clamps all the time. Whether it's gravity fed or not, always use fuel line clamps. I get this fuel line from Napa. It's nice and pliable and everything. I bought some kind of other fuel line somewhere else. It was like a hard plastic. It was so hard to work with. It was like a hard plastic. I don't know where that came from. So, I'm going to put everything away for today. And I'll try to do some carburetor adjustment on it. But, I don't know what's up with that leaking under there like that. Okay, so this is the bottom of the carburetor. Here, you can see there's a pinhole in here. It probably has one of those plugs in it. I don't know, whoever rebuilt this carburetor poked a hole in there to try to get that out. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to mix up some JB Weld and stick it in there. And I'll let it sit for a couple of days. And then we'll put the carburetor back on the tractor and see how it is. When the carburetor was on the tractor and the gas was leaking out of here, I stuck my finger in here and stopped the gas from pouring out, and I didn't see any gas coming out of the carburetor inlet here. So I'm pretty sure that's the whole problem here with the carburetor. So I'll mix up some JB Weld that, and like I said, in a couple of days I'll let it just sit. I'll put the tractor back inside, gather all the parts, throw them in a coffee can. It's been 3 days since we JB welded this. We had 2 days of much needed rain, which is good, because I think we've had a drought for about 5 or 6 weeks. It hasn't rained. So I use the original blend JB Weld here. They do have a version of quick dry JB Weld. I found that it was hard to work with. You had to work with it real quick, and I don't know, it just didn't work out good for me. So I just rather use the original JB Weld and give it at least 24 hours to cure. This way you can mix it up. You know, you can take your time about using it. I noticed with the quick dry, you're mixing it up and it seems like it's starting to dry already, and I just didn't like it. And I always give it more than the 24 hours. I don't know if you can see anything on the back of this panel here, if you want to focus in on it. I think the temperature wise, I think it's good till about 700 degrees, I forget. And I'm having a hard time reading the back panel here. So you don't want to use it near exhaust systems and stuff like that. This seems to be, well, of course it's hardened pretty good. It's a cold weld is what it is, actually. And in the beginning of the video, I really didn't explain much to you about this tractor. We got this 1965 Gravely L along with the 1966 Gravely L8. And when we got this, it didn't have any compression. And we took the head off it. I freed up the exhaust valve on it, and I cleaned everything up real good. We put it back together, and we got it to run. And what I did was I used the carburetor off my father's 1956 Gravely, because we had that apart to do the engine work on it. The oil gauge was broken, but I did have a air gauge that I think I got it off a compressor or somewhere. I don't remember exactly, but I just wanted to make sure we had a reading on the oil pressure. You could also check the oil pressure when your engine's idling and you take off the oil filler cap, and you can see if it has oil pressure that way. So I just threw that on temporarily. I know I have some Gravely oil pressure gauges. They're in the back of the storage. I have to dig them out for now. And we changed the oil on it, and it seemed to run pretty good. So I'm going to get back to putting the carburetor back on it, and we'll see if it doesn't leak anymore. And when we took it for that little test drive, I know because of the fuel leak, it was probably sucking in there too. So I'll put the carburetor on it. We'll make sure it's not leaking, and I'll start it up. I'll probably have to adjust the carburetor, at least the high side mixture jet. We'll have to adjust, and we'll see how that goes. And then this will be done. But I do have to get a couple of air cleaner hoses I have to order. The one on the 61 is, I had to put some electrical tape on it, and this one's missing altogether. And that's about it right now. Hi, I'm sorry about the background noise. They're using a chainsaw and a chipper and whatnot. Alright, so I have everything back together again. I have the governor set so it's at full throttle like you would your small engine on a lawnmower or whatever. When it's not running, there's a little bit of tension there. So when you start it up, the governor will bring this down to a reasonable speed. I think it's set alright. I'm not really sure. So let's turn the gas on here, because I haven't yet, and see if we have anything leaking. So I'm figuring somebody put a hole in that plug underneath the carburetor there, because I guess they were going to change that plug. But in the two kits that I have, I don't see a plug that big for it. So they should have just left it well enough alone, or I don't know what, but it's like a perfect hole, as you saw before we JB welded it. This would have been leaking by now. It's pretty dry. So JB Weld was like $6 and change up at the Walmart. I bought it. Always have to have a backup new pack. It goes a pretty long way. Like I say, you mix it 50-50. 50% of the steel and 50% of the hardener, depending what I'm using it on. Sometimes I'll put just a little bit more steel in there. Well, that would have leaked by now. There's nothing even coming out of the inlet here, so that's a good sign. There is gas in the tank, I checked. So I'll probably have to adjust the high speed here. You just loosen this 5/16 nut here, and then you can turn this wing nut either in or out. I might have to do that, because it was sucking air in because it had a hole in that plug. Alright, so I'm going to start it up and I'll be back to you. I'll see how it runs and we'll take it for a quick ride and then we'll wrap this up. Well, first the needle was stuck, so there was no gas getting it to the bowl. So I was having a hard time starting it because I took the plug out of the bottom, the bowl plug. I took it out, nothing was coming out, so I tapped on the carburetor. Then gas started coming out. I put the plug back in and then I left the gas on, and then there was gas coming out of the carburetor throat. So I started it up and I ran it. I made an adjustment on the high side, like I said I was probably going to have to do. So I ran it and I shut it off. Now there's no gas coming out of the inlet here, so I'm going to try to start it back up again and see how it is, and we'll just take it for a quick ride. But I don't know, not sure if it's going to be any good or not. Let me see how it starts now. Like I said, I left the gas on, so I'll make sure that the bowl got filled again, that the needle's not getting stuck in the seat. Running too lean. No matter how much I adjust the high speed adjuster, it must have something to do with the flow. Well, the test drive went a lot better since we fixed the hole underneath there. Just shut this gas off. No more leaking out of the inlet as far as I know. Or is it? This carburetor's not too good. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, just running like lean. Let me turn the gas back on. It did drip out of here a little bit after I shut it off before, but then it stopped. But now it's leaking out of there again. Has something to do with the float. You know, what we fixed underneath here is not leaking at all. Now it's coming out of the inlet. And it acts like it's running lean no matter how much I richen it up. It does that popping. It stopped doing that before. Stopped leaking out of the throat here, like I think it did now, maybe. Now it's still leaking. I don't know. It's got a brand new needle. Looks like they changed the seat. I think you really gotta get these floats adjusted right for it to be right. So, alright, we're not gonna bother doing anything more to this year. We're done with it. I'm just gonna run it some more, run it out of gas and put it away. Next thing we have is we have to see what's leaking out of the 61 here. I told you the story about this in the beginning of the video. And it still leaks oil. So that's the next thing we're gonna go after. I'll jack it up again. Maybe pull the wheels off. I'll leave it outside. We'll put it on blocks, jack stands, whatever it takes. And anyway, I hope somebody got something out of this that owns these tractors as far as the governor goes. If you're adding one to it, or you have to take the carburetor off for some reason to do repairs, the easiest way I found to hook everything back up again. I guess that's it. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one, and take care. Well, I turned the gas back on. It leaks for about a minute out of the inlet after you shut the engine off, and then it stops because I turned the gas back on. That's off, and that's on. So, yeah, it probably has something to do with the float. It's a cast iron carburetor. I don't know what year they used those on these tractors, but I would really like to fix the carburetor right someday. That's it.